morning, everyone. Thank you for taking our time to join this session. We're so excited to have you join this session. My name is Morel, and I've been the one communicating with everyone on the group. I hope we're having a lovely morning, and we're about to make your morning even great. Welcome to the Design System Training powered by University, a tech recruitment platform. I'm your host, and I'm your go-to person all through this training. Please note that if at any point in time you have questions, you have inquiries, make sure you use the chat box and someone would respond to you. Product design, when you hear product design, what do you want to know? What's design system? Why is design system important? What are the modalities of design system? What are the techniques in having a design system? Well, this is why we're here, and this is why we want to know. I do not have so much understanding. I'm just the host of this session, but I have somebody that's going to be taking you through how to understand design systems, importance of design systems, practical usability and influence of design systems, case studies. We're going to be working on different case studies. We have assignment where we have lessons, we have exercises all through this session, and as well, design system best practices. All of these are going to be taught by an expert, a product designer, Seun Orofin. Seun Orofin is a product designer and a no-code developer with 5 years experience in designing and building mobile and web app-based digital products. He has experiences in managing startups, helping them with designs, as well as huge established organizations to meet their business needs via his designs. And I'm honored to welcome our tutor for this morning, Seun Orofin. Hello, Seun.
Hi, Morel. Good morning. Thank you very much for the intro.
Good morning. It's nice to have you here.
My pleasure. My pleasure too. Thank you very much. Hi, good morning, everyone. Just like Morel said, my name is Seun Orofin, and I will be taking this session today talking about design systems. So I know everyone here, I'm sure everyone here basically would have heard the term design system, and maybe you've been using design systems where you work currently, or you've been trying to practice how to create your design systems and even understand how it works. But today, you would basically understand everything that actually consists of a design system, how to use design system on your day-to-day design activities or your design tasks. You'd be able to understand how you can jump in to using already existing design systems. Also, if you are in a place that already has one, and as well, pretty much understand all the underlying principles that has to do with you creating, managing, and using a design system. So I want to make this class open, right? I would like to hear from one or two people. Let's just say I'd like to hear from 3 to 5 people. Let's do 5, about what they understand by the term design systems. Yeah. Anyone willing to go?
If you want to speak, you can indicate interest, just raise your hand and I would unmute you.
Okay, I see Karimot Isiaka.
Hi, hello everyone, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for this session. I'm actually looking forward to learning a lot. Okay, what I think a design system is like a guideline that guides us on how to, like, on the steps to follow for our design process when designing a product.
Okay, Thank you very much, Karimot. That's pretty much what a design system is. Thank you very much. So, anyone else would like to share?
Hello,
Hi, sorry, what's the name? Sorry, I didn't catch the name.
my name is Oleg.
Okay.
So design system is kind of a collection of reusable components, and it helps practically to build the interface, the whole system faster, and to make it more sustainable, let's say in the future. So it's kind of future-proofing your design. By consistency, by following the rules, the documentation, and so on. That's my point.
Thank you very much. That was a very, very detailed explanation, and I think you pretty much covered everything that a design system like entails. I would like to just have one more person tell us what he or she understands by design systems, and we can start with the.
Okay, somebody already dropped something in the chat box. Mobira, Betty, a set of components used as design guideline.
Sorry, I didn't catch that, Mara.
There's a response in the chat box by Mobira, Betty, a set of components used as design guideline.
Oh yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's just so let's just say a design system is there are sets of guidelines, right? Where maybe a company or probably the design lead of a company has created so that there will be like a consistent design across board. Everyone on the team will be able to follow the rules and guidelines that have been set by the company, the designer in the company, so that they would be able to be seamless, consistent, and reusable components across board. And it also helps in scalability, right? If you have a design system where everything has been predefined, like the components, the elements that you need for your designs have been set, you only need to just follow the rules and guidelines that are in place, right? And it helps speed up the rate at which you work as a designer, because you are not creating anything from the scratch. You are pretty much just following the principles that has been laid out by the company and just putting them into place. So design systems is actually a very interesting topic, right? And I think by the end of today, I hope and I'm sure that you guys will be able to you'll be able to understand what a design system is like in depth, and be able to create and maybe even manage a design system yourself. So I think we can actually start. Yeah. So okay, there's a poll running. Oh, okay. Can see that.
Okay, before we get started, there's a poll up. Please, we want you to fill it in and we can just start immediately. Thank you. All right, 35 people have filled in the poll. Let's just give others a minute and would close the call. Thank you. All right, we're ending the call now. Thank you so much for throwing in your feedback. Sean, over to you.
All right, thank you. Okay. So let's start by the agenda for today, right? So today we'll be looking at understanding design systems like better. Why is it showing? Getting to know what are the components that consist of a design system, the best design system, like some of the best design systems in the industry. We'll be taking a look at them and how to create like a design system. And also we would be thinking of doing some exercises, right, on this session. So let's start, right? Let's just move directly into what a design system is. Well, this is, I think, the three guys that spoke earlier has pretty much made justice to this. Like, a design system is a collection of usable components, patterns, guidelines that a company or a lead designer must have set in place, right, to create a consistent and cohesive user interface and experiences across all products and platforms. So it's more or less like a set of tools, rules, and like guidelines to help designers and developers work together to maintain a visual and functional consistency throughout their work. Okay, so let's dive deeper, right? Let's dive deeper. So imagine we have a web page, right? Or imagine a web page is let's go to science here. Let's talk about science a little bit, right? So imagine a web page is created by atoms, molecules, and organisms, right? They all come together to form a web page. So what would be the atomic structure, right? So here, let's look at this, right? We all know that atoms are like the basic building blocks of a matter, right? So in this scenario, our atoms here would be the colors, the layouts, the spacings, right, that we must have predefined in our system, right? Since these are like the most important, right, the minute things, but they are actually very, very important elements or components that we need to set in place, right? When creating a product, we definitely would have like some brand guidelines. We have like the brand color, we'll have like brand assets and whatnot, right? So from the brand color, we would be able to create like a color system or a color style so that each and every component in our system would have a predefined color, right? And for example, your buttons, your backgrounds, your dividers, your containers, everything would pretty much be inheriting what values. They'll be inheriting like properties from what you've actually set in your color system, right? So these atoms are like what the basic building blocks of the design system, right? So that takes us to the molecules. So molecules here, like we all know, are like combinations of what different atoms together to form what a molecular component. Yeah, let me just use it that way. So here, for example, we have a button, right? A button is pretty much inheriting values from what the color systems, right? We'll have different button styles here and different states, right? We have maybe the active states, the field states, the over states, the inactive state here. So they are actually inheriting values from the active state. You see the background color is, I think this is a purple color. Yeah. So it's inheriting values from the colors you've actually set. And the text also is actually taking a white color, right? So you must have predefined all these elements or these styles, right, in your design system when you are just kicking off. So the combination of different atoms together is what will form like the molecular structure here. So these are like buttons, form inputs, radio buttons, and whatnot. Then we have what organisms. So here you're actually bringing in what different molecular structures together, right, to form one organism. An example here would be the table that you can actually see, right? On each of the row, you see you have different molecular structures. So this label item here that has the title and description with an image is just one molecule, right? Then it is bundled up with a label or a badge here that's also what a molecule. Then it has a label and a description, which is also a molecule. The image here, they are also molecules and whatnot. So combining all these different molecules together, what gives you like an organism, it gives you like a much more complex component where you can actually infuse different elements and components that you must have set when creating your design system. So that takes us to like combination of everything together. So I would call that like a template, right? You are combining the different molecules, different organisms that you must have created to build up what your web page, which is pretty much your template. So here you can see we have the colors, we have the buttons, we have the navbar, which is also like an organism. You have the arrow section, which contains different molecules, different atomic structures, and everything comes up together to what form a template, which is our web page. Yeah. So with this in mind, what a design system actually entails are like you starting from the building, but starting from the basics, right? Creating the tiniest little entities, right, that you can actually build up upon. So you start by setting up your color styles, understanding how to actually create like harmonious color styles that works for your buttons, for your text, for your backgrounds and whatnot. Then moving on and building up from there to maybe create your typography, create your layout, create your buttons, move on to creating your navigation bars, and it gets more and more complicated as you move, but everything builds up from the basics that you've actually set. And these are like you creating them from starting from your basic entities like the atom here in our case, the molecules, the organisms, they all come together to actually form what the template. So let's look at like the benefits of a design system. I'm sure we are pretty much conversant with some of these benefits, right? The first one here will be scalability, right? When you have a very good design system, it's easy for you to make changes on the go. It's easy for you to add elements and keep improving your design system because everything is easy to actually make changes. So without a design system, you tend to do a lot of work, having to manually change a lot of things because there's actually nothing tying these elements together. They're not inheriting values from each other. So everything is broken. So with a very structured design system, you can actually have a very scalable system where changes can be made on the fly. If you need to add elements, all you need to do is go to the component, add it, and it reflects like all around. Another benefit here would be consistency, right? Consistency across board. So when a new designer joins a company, right, and there's actually no design system in place, what happens? He or she comes up with his own style of design, right? And there must have been someone doing the work before. So you don't expect them to have the same style. Everyone has his or own style of design, right? So you come up with your own style of button, the other designer comes up with his own style of button, and we all get like the output comes out differently. But when there's a design system in place in a company, right, the whatever employee is actually coming in at that point would pretty much be feeding off the guidelines, feeding from the guidelines that must have been set, and just building upon everything that has been laid out by the previous designer or maybe the company, as the case may be. So it creates like some sort of consistency. Then maintainability and continuous improvement. Yeah, I think I spoke about this a little bit when talking about scalability. It's easy to manage when you have a very good design system. You can like you can continuously like improve your design system, add elements. If you decide today, okay, we don't want to use this font or this typeface anymore, you can easily just switch and it gets like updated all around through your design system. So another one would be productivity and speed. Yes, like this, you having a good design system increases your speed, increases your productivity. And for example, let me give a scenario, right? You have a new employee at a company, and he or she is asked to maybe create a simple sign-up page, right? And there is no design system in place. This designer would need to sit down, think of, okay, what style do I want to actually go with for the form fields, for the buttons, what color styles do I want to use, the typefaces I want to go with. Sorry about that. So he or she spends a lot of time trying to map out all these items so that he can actually go on to create like this page. But when there's a design system in place, right, all he needs to do is understand and go through the guidelines, see how things are being done previously, and feed off the components that have been set in place. So he just needs to take the elements, like create some sort of organism from them, like bringing the different atomic structures together, creating molecules, adding the molecules together to create organisms, and finally he or she will be able to like build up on what the template page that he has been asked to work on. So it actually increases like your speed and productivity when you have like a standard design system. Then lastly, we have collaboration, right? So with a good design system, you all can, like a lot of designers can actually work together, right, to create like a product, because they are all feeding off the same component, the same design system. They are coming from the same source, right? So there's no way you would be working on a project where you're all using the same designs or the same components, and it would not like work seamlessly, right? You all are picking from the same source. You have like a mutual understanding of how to use those components. So everything actually goes in place, not like when you don't have a design system in place. I might decide I don't want to have rounded corners in my buttons. You might decide that you want to have rounded corners in your buttons, and a lot of back and forth, back and forth. So everything here actually talks to how we can actually benefit from a good design system, right? So we would be looking at some examples, right? So I have some examples here of companies with successful design systems, just a few, not seeing, we have a lot of companies with successful design systems, but I just thought to pick out some of the guys I feel they're actually doing well. So we have Material Designs, which is the latest version of Google's open source design system. So I think I have it opened here. We can just have like a look. So they have everything like laid out down from colors to the icons to function, shape, and typography. So let's just look at colors. Let's just look at colors so we don't spend too much time. Yeah. So okay, so here you can see they have different, they have the tone-based surface colors, which probably has its own function, right? They have accent color, they have dynamic colors. Let's go to the that should Okay, so they have like the key colors, which are like the primary color, the secondary color, tertiary color. They have their neutral colors, and everything has its functionality. They don't just assign colors without giving it like a functionality, right? So the primary color here might be for the brand itself, like the main brand color, right? And from there, you can also have like your secondary color, which is to complement what the primary color, the tertiary color. You have your neutral colors, which are like the black and white, to just create for backgrounds, dividers, and whatnot. We have additional colors too for error states, several colors depending on what, depending on the use case, depending on the product, right? So there's another one here. I think with Atlassian, they all have the same thing. You can see there's this consistency across board. So they have their primary palette, which pretty much has its own function. Here they have the secondary palette also. They have the extended palette, which are like the neutrals. They have the mid neutrals, and we'll be going over all details soon. I'm sure you guys understand, know what this contrast, this accessibility values are. You have the name, text code, and what we'll go over this in details in a few moments. So we also have for Airbnb. Airbnb too has like a nice design system. So we can actually like count so many companies, right, with good design systems. But I just thought to share like a few samples of this design system, these companies with nice design system. So let's look at components of a design system, right? So just like we mentioned, we have like so many components. I think on Google you see that there are like let's see what we have here. Elevation, we have motions, we have like several components that make up a design system. It's all down to your product. It's all down to how you want to make your users feel when creating that seamless experience for them, right? So I would pretty much just be talking about the most important ones here, which are like the layouts, the color palette, the typography, icon, and like you creating components of your designs and being able to use them like easily. So most people actually start with creating like the color palette, but I think for me, before I even start my designs, I like to plan out my layout, right? I like to understand and set boundaries in my frame, set boundaries on my screens to know like the areas I need to actually work with. So we will be talking about layouts. I think layouts are quite like straightforward. Layouts, we'll be talking about the color palette, we're talking about typography, how to use icons like consistently, and components too. Yeah, so let's just dive into yeah, look at layout. So I'll mostly be talking about the mobile designs for these sessions, right? But the same concepts, the same principles apply to a web-based design also. So here we can see that if I actually bring out the sidebars, you can see we have a style, like a layout style applied to this frame, right? Which is 2 columns. But I'm going to take it, let's just take it out and see how we can actually do that. So most times for a for a mobile designs, right, we create layouts. And for you to create a layout or set like a layout grid, I'm sure we all know this, you just come here to set your columns, right? I'm going to be using columns because I want them to span like the top and bottom, and we would pretty much be defining like our margins. For mobile designs, I think I mostly use 16 to 24. So let's just say I'll be giving the margins what 16 pixels, and let's say the gutters too will be 16, right? So this currently is what a 5 column layout. right? Because as you can see, the faint red lines or the faint red columns here are like 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this means that you can actually divide your frame like into 5 different views. So I would start with 2. Let's see, I can start with 2 because you can actually use it in multiples of 2, 4, 6, and 8, like that and so on, depending on, there's actually no fixed value, right? It depends on what you're actually working on and your product per se, and how you plan to lay out like elements on your frame. So for this, I would just go with 2, right? And here you can actually divide components, right, easily on your frame, depending on how you plan to lay them out. You can have cards, right? And this automatically gives you a sense of what distribution across board. You can decide to maybe span your components like wide through, and you are still going to like maintain that consistent spacing or margin here. So it is just for, I think layouts are quite straightforward, right? It's for you to be able to manage how you lay the elements or how you put in your elements on your frame. The same thing here we have for the 4 columns. This is for an example, you have like some cards that you have some simple cards that you need to lay out, right? You can as well just distribute them evenly. And this already gives you a sense of how you can easily achieve that by just, by just duplicating these elements all through your page. If you decide to still want to use a two cards to be distributed evenly, the 4 grid system or the 4 column system would still work. So it does still boils down to how you want to design your product. It still boils down to the decisions you guys take as a team or individually when building your product. So to create a style out of this, right? I think I already have some styles created. So, but to create a style out of this, I've already predefined my layout here. Let's do that again. So you apply like a layout grid and change to columns, right? So we have other items, sorry, we have other options here. We have for columns, we have for rows. So for rows, mostly, I use most to actually define the gap to the top and bottom, right? Which is, let's say we can have it for, let's just have 32 for now. And you can see I've given it like a gap to the top and bottom, right, of my frame. And this means that my designs will pretty much be starting from here, because let's say for an iOS design, you would have like the top nav, right, where you have your battery level, the signal and date would pretty much occupy the top. So you need to factor in those pixels, right? Give it spacing to take up that space. Then your designs can actually start from here downward. So, okay, so let's try to apply or create styles from each of these guys. For the layout, I can add a column, right? So let's start with 2. And I would give it a margin of 16 to 16. So just to say, I think there is actually no fixed, I would like to just mention, there's actually no fixed way for you to create like your layout, right? It still boils down to how you and your team members, if you are working in a team, decides to elements, right? So using 16 here doesn't mean it would always have to be 16 pixel pad margin and 16 pixels gutters that you need to use. It's you can be flexible, right? It depends on your style, it depends on the product, it depends on what you guys want to achieve as a team. So to save this as a style, we just need to click on this menu icon here that shows style, and you can create a new grid style, or you can create a new layout style. So for here, I can just call it 2 columns, right? I think I already created a style. So, okay, so you can just add a 2 column, right? And it gets created as a style already. So when you click outside, you can see that I have a grid style or a layout already set in place. So if at any point you have a new frame, you can easily just apply this style and reuse like straight out of the box. So the same concept applies to you adding the 4 column styles. You can also have for 6, you can have for 8, 12, and the like, depending on your design. Okay, so I think for layouts, that's pretty much it. I would like to, I don't know if you have any questions or comments before I move on to color styles. Anyone?
All right, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Francis David. I'm connecting from Jos. Yeah, thank you so much for the quite elaborative lessons. So I want to ask a question. Those styles that were saved, like those layout grid system that was saved, can we say that those saved layouts are design system? Like, how can we relate them to the material design system you talked about? Are they different from that, or is a new thing entirely? So I just need more explanation on that. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so the material guidelines I actually shared now, right? Every design system adds its own components like predefined. So for material design, I'm sure they have, sorry, let's see, I'm sure they have the layouts. Yeah, I'm sure they have layouts also like created, spacing and whatnot. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I think it is here. Oh, sorry. Okay, yes. So for material designs, right, they have a consistent use, right, of their own spacing and layout. And I think they've pretty much outlined it here. You can actually take time to go through this, so I'll just skim through. So they've specified how the margins, or okay, no, this here, they are just describing what the margin are for the spacers, the padding, and whatnot. I think they have a layout system. Let me just see. I can get to that. Sorry. Okay, but all in all, so the idea is for every design system, right? There is a layout system that you have to create, right? And this is done just so that you can have a consistent like arrangement of components across your pages or your frames, as the case may be, right? So material design has their own like guidelines and set of layout rules that they must have set. So I'm sure they also have that added to their styles. They have like the different grid system that they use. They have the different, I think this is the latest one. Let me see if I can get, yes. Okay, for example, here, exactly. So here we have columns, right? We have their responsive layout grid. So this here is a description of how material design what arranges or lays out elements on their frame. For situations where they need to use a 4-column layout, they've actually specified it here, right? They for 8 columns, for 8 columns layouts, they have it also specified, and this is just like a system that they've predefined for use in-house. And also if you are a designer and you maybe need to design for an Android device, right? You can as well just follow these guidelines because they've been tested and I would say they are tested and trusted, right? And they've been using this for a while. So I think this is just like set of rules that Google has put in place, right, to create this consistent like feel across board. So they have their do's and don'ts that you can actually use as a guide to create like your own system. So for horizontal grids too, for horizontal grids too, just like the rows and columns like I mentioned earlier, there are layouts, there are guidelines too that would pretty much guide every designer that is actually trying to design for an Android like interface. So I think the design system is specific to the company or to the brand itself. So let's look at Atlassian. I'm sure they have something for spacing too. Exactly. So here, let's see. Okay, so here they have what the space or the scale. Yeah. So you see they have tokens, they have like the pixel density or the pixel size. And here I think they have on a scale of 2s or 4s. Yeah. So they have for 2 pixels, they have for 4 pixels, 6 pixels, 8 pixels, and it goes up as it actually increases. So the spacing uses they have like a guideline, right, for small for elements that would require them to be like at the same, like in terms of proximity, they have like a set of guidelines, right? You can actually use pixel densities or pixel sizes rather for ranging from 0 to 4 to 8. For medium spacing, they have like guidelines to help designers actually understand or use when they're actually creating like a design system of their own. So I think Atlassian is mostly for web. I'm not so sure if they have for mobile, but here you can see they created like set of guidelines for you to just follow. For smaller spacing, you can actually use 0 to 8. They're not saying if you actually go away from this, you might have a bad design, no, but at least this is what they use and they've tested it and it works, right? So it's safe for you to actually still follow them. You can actually break out of it if you feel you need to. I'm not saying it's wrong, but then you can use them as as a base for creating your own like spacing and layout, as the case may be. So I don't know if that sort of answers your question, sorry, Frank, right?
Yes, thank you so much. So it's advisable we just stick to the standard, to the material design system, right? Instead of staying with ours.
You can stay with yours, right? I'm not saying you can't like create your own design system, right? But there's something that works already in the industry and it is tested and trusted. So you can use that as a guide to create your own system. But if you feel you need to break at any point, you need to do something different with a valid reason, right? Then you are free to do so if it actually sits well with the team and there's a valid reason for you to do that, then yes, you can. Like I said, they are just guidelines and rules that would help you create like consistent like designs and create seamless experiences. Nothing is fixed. I'm sure Atlassian can come up one day and add like more spacing skills or whatever based on what they feel works good for them. So it still boils down to the team, it boils down to the company and like the brand guidelines. Yeah. So any other question before we move?
Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Sorry.
Okay, so we have some questions in the chat. We have 2 questions, one from Hadiza. who is asking, can you use different layout grids for different screens, depending on the design requirements of each screen? So she's asking more specifically the column and row count. Then we have another question.
So let me quickly respond to that. So if I'm clear, she's asking if you can use different layout settings, right, or layout specifications for several screens, right? So
Yes.
let's take, for example, we have, I'm just going to do like a dummy design, nothing too fancy. So let's say we have a page where we need to render a list, right? We just need to have a list item, right? It is safe to say we can use a 2-column kind of layout because we are only just creating elements that is spanning from the left to right. There's nothing else that we want to lay out on this page, right? It is safe to say we can just use these 2 columns layouts like consistently across this page. But on a situation where we need to use or render cards or show like render like some cards that would show maybe images or some sort of information, right? We can, let's say we want to render like 3, right? For example, we need to render 3. On this column layout that we have here, we just have 2 column settings, right? For us to lay out 3 elements or 3 components on this page, we would need to sort of use maybe a 6 column settings, or I would not want us to create like for 3, but then why I'm saying 6 is if you look to the 3rd frame here, right, which is 6, we can as well like break or divide these columns into 3s, right, into 3. So it depends on what you actually want to lay out on your frame, on your screen, and you thinking of the best or the best column that would work for you. So you can actually break them into, if you need to lay out elements in 5s, right, you can as well move on to creating 10 columns, right? I'm sure it's you can actually use 5. If you need to create for 4, right, 4 works. 8 also works for that, but there's really no need to use 8, since you can as well just span your designs for this column. And in situations where you need your element to even maybe get much more closer, right, it is safe for you to create styles, right, that would reduce like the what do they call this, sorry, the gutter here. You can actually create styles, right, that would make what your elements like still sit or come closer to each other, maybe reduce it to maybe 8. Yeah, so you can still have items like this, but then there should be like a proper documentation and you creating styles so that if you need to reuse them, you can actually just take out elements or select the styles from your list of styles that you must have created in your layout or grid system here. So it's still just like the previous speaker said, it still boils down to what you are building, right? It boils down to your product, it boils down to what your company wants and how you guys have decided to lay out elements on your frames or your screens. So these are right. I don't know if that's sort of answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so we have another question. It's someone, Oluwatobi, is asking, what are design tokens?
Okay. Well, so design tokens is actually a deep topic, and I wasn't planning to take that, but let me give some sort of let me just give a brief example of what a design token is. So let's say this is I'm supposed to use this as an image, but I didn't bring any image here, so let me just okay, so let's say we have an image and say this is this is Michael Jackson, right? Michael Jackson. I'm sorry, I'm just using this random weight. I think this would explain it well, right? So this is Michael Jackson. We all know Michael Jackson to be a singer, right? The pop king, right? So let's say, let me just add this as a singer, right? So this is the base understanding of what everybody feels, or what everybody, if they say Michael Jackson, right, we all know who Michael Jackson is, and we can tie it down to him being the king of pop, right? So we can have different variants or different uses of Michael Jackson. I'm saying this, I'm just using Michael Jackson, but in the real scenario, we might have some styles, right? Let's say we have styles like this. Let me make this a solid fill, and so we can have this as my primary color, right? And say, let's say primary 500, right? Let's just say primary 500, and this would be like the X code. Yeah. But I was going to talk about this in a little bit on color styles, but let's just quickly describe this. So here I'm using Michael Jackson to create, like, just to explain the scenario. But this is how it is in real sense. You have a color which is our base or brand color, and it's primary 500. But then looking at it in this scenario, we know Michael Jackson as the pop king, and we can also have different variants, right, of Michael Jackson. And I might know him as what Michael, let's say we know Michael Jackson also as MJ, right? And we can say we know Michael Jackson also as the guy that invented maybe the moonwalker or something. So, but the idea is there is a base representation, right, of this value or this color style here, which is in our case is Michael Jackson, right? And this would pretty much have its own function. It has its own description of it has its function of what it does, right? It might be your main color for your button, right? It might be the main color for your backgrounds and whatnot. But then this same color might actually work fine for us having text links. So let me quickly do this. So it might be your main button color, right? This is primary 500, and it is your main color for your buttons and whatnot. But this same color, right, can work fine for what your button or your links, right? It is the same color, but it's actually performing a different function at this point, right? So what design token means is you have like a base, and you can create different use cases, right, that are feeding off from that main color that you've actually set. I don't know if this kind of gives a brief explanation or a brief idea of what design tokens are. So you can have names like surface, you can have names like primary, let's just say surface, primary. You can have names like dividers or background primary 500. Let's just say primary 500. Let's just say this is primary 500, right? The two of them are the same value. They have the same X color code, right? But they perform several or different functions. So the surface primary, right, might be just anything that has to do with your background or maybe your button. Let's just start this, since this is what we have, right? And the bag, okay, so let's just say this is for text. Yes, let's just call this for text. Okay. Let me call this button so we can relate to it. Okay, so this can be for what? For links, and another for this same type of color, right? So it is you creating like different, I don't want to use the word variants or instances, you creating different use cases, right, for a specific value, a specific color that you must have set. Doesn't apply to colors alone. It applies to spacing. Sorry. It applies to even typography. So you have a main guy, which is what everybody knows as like the overall guy. In our case here, Michael Jackson, right? But Michael Jackson's brother actually see was just a brother, and he just randomly calls him MJ, right? An outsider that doesn't even know he sings, but just got to know that Michael Jackson does moonwalk, can call him what? A moonwalker. That doesn't mean these three guys are not the same, right? But in the real scenario, they perform what's different, what use cases. I don't know if this sort of explains what design thinking is to you. Sorry, I can't remember the name. I'm sorry.
Awesome explanation. I've gotten a foundational understanding. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I didn't get it was breaking. I didn't get that.
It says awesome explanation. I've gotten the foundational understanding. Thank you.
All right. So it's actually a wide topic, and I just knew I might not be able to go in depth today,
Yeah, like I said,
but
yeah,
I'm sure I would still talk. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
So
thank you.
I think what I would do now, I think I'll take one more question before I move on to color stars. Yeah.
Okay, so we have one more question. Emmanuel is asking, please, how can you please can you explain how to make designs responsive? And please, can you explain typography? I'm sure you're going to address that later on and how he can use it.
Yes, I plan to explain typography, but I don't think responsiveness was part of the main core I wanted to talk about. But anyways, I think I would like to quickly just go through that, something we can actually do now. Okay, so when creating like your styles too, like I said, while I was talking about design components, we have several components, like several things that makes up what a design system. I only picked, because of the time frame, I only picked these core components to talk about, because I think a lot of designers actually make little and certain mistakes when creating this style. So let's look at responsiveness. Okay, so sorry, permit me to delete this, guys. Yeah, I may have two different. Let's have another frame. iPhone. Let's have a tablet. Let's have a tablet here. Okay. Okay. Wait. You might want to design for a mobile device. You might want to develop also a like iPad, right? And the two of them have like different dimensions, and the way it works is you need to be able to create like designs that would scale or respond based on the width of this element. But randomly, what a lot of people do is that I can come onto this page here and design, let's say we have, let me just use the best scenario. Let's create a bottom, yeah, bottom tab, so we can have something like this. 16. Okay, so I'm going to have like 4 icons, right, and a text. Let's just say okay, I'm just going to make this very simple, nothing too fancy. Let's see. Okay. Sorry. Sorry, let me do this. So I'm just trying to create like a feel of how the bottom navs works. Let's see, I will make this 24, I make this 8, right, make this 16. Okay, so I'm going to replicate this across and maybe use auto layout to span it through. Yeah. Okay, so let's imagine this is what our tab menu for a mobile, right? And the idea is 16, sorry. Let me make this slide so it's much more visible. All right. So the idea is that we want to have what? A responsive design. And looking at this, sorry. I'm not sure this guy is here. Okay, so looking at this, if I just come ahead and just create like a bottom now that looks like this is not how it is designed anyway. I just needed to make a use case here. So on this design, if I try to scale or increase the width here, what happens? It doesn't scale based off what the width of my frame at this point in time. So there is a need for us to now factor in what a responsive scale. Let's add responsiveness to the frame and even the elements what's inside the frame. So that comes down to you setting constraints, right? It comes down to you setting constraints to each of these elements or the tab menu itself. So what I mostly do, if you look at what we have here, we have 4 different frames inside of what this bottom or this tab menu, right? So I'm going to be setting them to okay, I'm going to set them to space between, right? I'm going to set them to space between. So this means that anytime I try to increase this, let me show you the use case here. Anytime I try to increase this tab menu, right? They all like space, they all distribute like evenly and give like enough room between each of them, right? So this is just like an auto layout settings. I think auto layout too is a very important topic like for you to understand. I can actually share resources for you to go through and get like a good understanding of how auto layout works. But here, the goal is that I don't want it to, if I change this back to the normal spacing, right, and everything should remain the same here, you would see okay, so let's look at these 2 use cases. So here, if I try to scale, right, what happens? They all just stay in the middle because I've specified that they should be in the middle here. And if I set it to the left, they all, even if I try to increase this, right, if I try to increase this bottom now, right, it doesn't what scale, it doesn't respond to the width of this bounding container. So that means it is not responsive. So what I would advise is you set what your auto layout to the spacing mode, you can set it to space between. So this means it gives enough room depending on the width of the bounding container, right? So I can as well just use the shortcut. If you don't want to go down to this route of selecting spacing mode, changing from packed to spacing between, you can as well just click on this shape or this frame here, right? And hit X on your keypad. So this gives it that space between property. So now, if you look at this and we try to increase the width, what they all respond based off the width of what the bounding container. So that is like the first step. Then now, if I still try to increase this, right? If I try to increase the width of what my frame, let's say I want to now design for my tab, right? What is the width of this? This is 744. So I put and change the width to 744. What happens? This item itself still what remains in the middle. It is not like increasing in terms of width, right? So to avoid this or to fix this, we can use our constraints. So we have a section here that talks about constraint. So I want it to, this is what we want to achieve, right? Let's look at what we want to achieve. I want my bottom now to span right from the left to what right. So that means this is what we want to achieve here, right? And here, if I do that, it is not working because I have not set like the right constraints to this element inside of my frame. right? The element has to also be inside of the frame. Please take note of that. So now I can hit or select my bounding container, which is my tab menu here, and change the constraint from center, because what it currently is on is if I increase the width, it is staying at the center, because that is the settings, right? From the left to right, it is staying in the center. But if I change it to left and right, if I change it to what? To left and right, let's see what happens. So it increases based off what? The width of my container, right? The same thing applies to this element here. So now I specify I want it to be in the left and right here. Then to the bottom, I always want my tab menu to sit at the bottom of my frame, right? So you can see, even if I try to increase the width, it will always stay at the bottom too. So all you just need to do is understand how you want your designs to be in different breakpoints, then set the constraints to actually perform that action. So now, even if I decide to create a different breakpoint, let's say I create this and change the dimension to 744, which is our tab mode, it works. If I decide to move to something a little bit bigger than that, let's say I have like 900, it still works. So here you've kind of created a responsive design based off just this simple element. I don't know if I'm able to explain or touch this responsiveness a little bit for everyone. Is it clear enough?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's very much clear. Thank you.
Very much clear.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so I think we spent a lot of time on layout. I didn't expect to spend a lot of time here. I really wanted us to jump to colors. So let's talk about colors. Let's talk about colors. Even as a designer, for me, it took me like a lot of time before I got to understand how to create color styles and how to use color styles for my design. I always just pick a color and I use any type of color I want. It was so crazy back then, but I thank God. Anyways, the thing is, a lot of designers are trying to do this in like exactly, they're just doing this the wrong way, basically. So I think what we would do is, let's try to create a sort of color style from scratch, right? So I have a simple frame here. Yes, I have a simple frame here, right? And we'll be using this as my main color. Let's use this as our primary color. But the idea is, let's look at what Atlassian did. Let's go back to Atlassian. So right, we have we have primary palette. So I'm assuming, or I'm sure primary palette is the main colors. Like, these are the main colors for Atlassian. This blue is their primary blue. I'm sure it's the same blue they have all round. And these accessibility values that we have here, we would touch it in a little bit, but here, what it means is that a black text would pretty much fail, like it doesn't pass the accessibility contrast on this background, while the white text passes. So the same thing for the text here, the brown or the gray text would not pass the accessibility. Obviously, you can't even see that here, while the white passes. That is what these values are for. And I think we will touch that in a little bit. Then they've given what names, let's just say design tokens, right, to each of these values. So we have B400 and a name, Pacific Blue. We have N 800 and whatnot. I'm guessing the B is for blue, the N is for neutral and whatnot. So you also have a secondary palette, and the same thing applies, right? For each of the secondary palettes, they have different accessibility values, and you can see them right on the screen, the name, the S code, and whatnot. Then I think they have for neutrals and mid neutrals and whatnot. So let's let's look at ours, right? I'm going to break this guy out of here. Okay, great. So let's say this is what our main color, and I'm just going to sample this color here. 3F4, 3F4. Great. So this is our main color, and I'm just going to say primary color. Let's just call it primary for now. No, I think this is not needed. Okay. Oh, sure. Sorry about that. This is not needed. Okay, so we can get that. Sorry about that. Okay, so this will be where we would add our accessibility values, and here we can have primary color and maybe the X code. So let me get the X code for this and paste it in here. Great. So we'll be using this for our primary color. So let's see what Google Material Design has in terms of color, right? So when creating your colors, you definitely have your primary color, you have your secondary color, you have your neutrals, right? And you can see based on what they have here, they have different variants or different shades, right, of this color. Obviously, this would be the main brand color, and you can see it is the 500 primary 500, right? So the reason why they added these values are so you can actually have like different shades or different tints, right, of that color. So to the left, you see the more it goes to the left, the darker it gets. The more it goes to the right, the lighter it gets, right? And that gives you like some sort of option, like it gives you several options when you are creating your design. So I might have to create a badge. And let's see how, let's create like a simple badge, right? And this badge would need to have what colors from my primary color. So here I can just sample our primary color and create like a bounding box. Let's give it some sort of hue. Okay, so this is a simple badge, and I want my background to have some shade of what this my primary color, blue. So what most of us would have done, even me, I did it a whole lot. I'm not saying it's wrong, but just so that we can have consistency in our design system or in our designs, it would be nice to create them as styles. But what I would have done is I would sample this color, right, and say, let's reduce the opacity to like, oh, sorry, you won't see that here. Let's give it some feel. All right. Okay. So what I would have done is I pretty much sampled what the blue, and I gave it an opacity of 10%. So this means now I've created like a badge, and I'm using the same color, right? But then it's safe for us to have like a system. We have like our primary color set, and sorry. We have our primary color set, and we have our secondary colors also set, so that way, looking at this, we have like a wide range of options to pick. So I can as well use my text here. I can use it for my primary, and even use ground, right, for this, right? And I would still sort of feel. So that's being percent. I'm not saying it's wrong anyways. I still do it once in a while when I'm lazy, but in order for us to have like the consistent view and like a proper style document for us to create like our color styles from scratch and stick to that. So let's do something interesting. So I'm going to create different variants for this, or different okay. So how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, great. So looking at this, right, we can even check using Google's design. I think they have a color use. They have something that you can use to check what range, because I'm sure a lot of people will be wondering, okay, now in my system, where does my primary color fit in? So I'm going to assume this would be 900. Sorry, give me a moment to just duplicate all through. I'm going to assume this is 900, this is 800, 700, 600, 500, 4, 3, 2, 1, 50. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of us will be wondering, right, where would my primary color fit in, right? There's nothing bad if you decide to use this as your primary color. If I say, okay, I want to use 500 for my primary color, it depends on you. It depends on you as a designer to think of how many options of darker shades do you want, or lighter tints do you want. So we can as well get ideas from, I know Google has an option to do that. Let's see if I can still find it here. I'm not so sure. You paste in your value and okay, great. Yes, they do. So let's get the color code for this and paste it in here for our primary color. So great. Can you see what Google suggested for us? Google is saying, because of how light, a little bit light our primary color is, we can actually use it for our primary, our 700. Let's just use the word 700. So, but I think I would like to have more, like at least 2 or 3 more darker shades. So I would go with 500. There's nothing wrong if you do this, but I think for me, I like to have almost the same balance in terms of light to dark shades. So in cases where I need to work with maybe dark theme, I have enough options. And when I need to have more of light, I have enough options too. So I would be going with 500. So looking at that, I will just nod this guy up a little bit so we know this is what our primary color. So yeah. Okay, so what do we now need to do? We need to now create different shades. All right, shades means it's getting darker as it moves to the left, and tint means it's getting lighter as it moves to the right. So looking at that, I have another tool here that we can use to create different tints and shades. So let's still get the color shade or the color code for this guy, and we can paste it in here, right? Let's see, where do I do that? Okay, I did. Okay, great. So if we do this, right, can you see it generated different things for us, and this also generated different shades for us. The question is, how do I know what to pick, right? How do I know what to pick in terms of my tints and my shades? It still boils down to you as a designer. It boils down to you understanding the project and what are the options you need mostly. Like I said, I wanted almost the same balance in terms of the darker shades and the lighter shades. So what I would do is 10 is quite a lot for me, right? I would want to drill it down to, let's say, I would want to drill it down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, we have 5. I think I would want to drill it down to 5 for my tints. And for my shades also, I have 4. I would want to drill it down to, let's say, 4. I don't want all black. So I'm going to go with 6. Yes, I can go with 6, right? Not much of a difference. Not much of a difference. Let's see. Okay, we can go with this. We can go with this. So I'm going to pick this. No, let's still go a little bit darker. We need 4. This, I'll go with this. I'll go with this, and this. Then for my tints, I'll go with this, and this. So let's quickly copy that as fast as possible. I'm sorry, but I would need you guys to give me a few minutes to copy this. So then I have this for my 300, 200, and I have this for my 100, and I don't want white. Sorry, I need to increase that a little bit. I don't want white as big. Okay, so let's start again. This. Finally, this my 50. Okay, so we've been able to successfully create like harmonious color for my tints, right? Let's now move to the shades. We need 4, right? And I don't want black, so this will be my darkest color. So let's have that ranging from 600 to 700 to 800 to 900. Great. So now we've been able to create what? A color system, right, for our primary. So let's call this what our primary palette, right? Let's call this our primary palette. Do I have my phone? Okay, anyways. Okay, great. So now, how do we know if the text colors, right, are what if they pass the accessibility assessment or the contrast, right? How do we know if it passes this? I'm sorry, I'm a bit lazy. I'm supposed to change the X code to suit everything, but I think we can pass that because of time for now. So there is actually a tool, right, for us to actually check that again. I think drop all these links on the group to help, but here is it. So read that we can use to check if our texts are going to pass like the accessibility or the WAG. I'm not so sure what this really means, but if it is going to pass this assessment, right? So let's get our color codes from here. I will need to still do that. I'm lazy, but I think I need to do it. I need to. Okay, that's my primary. I'm sorry, I just need to quickly copy all these and make sure we have the right value. We need them for checking the all right, great. So yeah, we need to now check what we need to check for our accessibility value. So here we have some sort of table where you can map the different colors to your text. So I'm going to delete everything here and let's see. Oh, sorry. So for my rows, I want to have my text. No, I want to have what the shades. Let's have all the color styles for my rows. 1, 2, Sorry, this is taking a while, but anyways, we just have to do it. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to add all the shades for our primary color, right? So we can map it against our text and see what is what passes pretty contrast here. So I think I'm done with all the text, right? I think I should change this. Yeah. So this will just be white and black. Great. So I changed it for my columns. I'm having all my values here. Then for my text, I think F for white and 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 for black. Okay. Okay, great. So here you can see the legend here says the AAA passes. That means it passes with around 7 point. Okay, for passing, for you to pass, sorry, that means you need to have the value needs to be above 7 or 7 plus and above. So here for text, right, our our white text passes this, so we can as well mark this as what AA and A. So if you look here, I have two values. I have AA and A. So it can either pass what the AA or it can pass for the AAA. So it does pass for you to pass AAA, right? For you to pass the AAA, then definitely it passes what the AA, because the AA starts from what 4.5, right? So that means this checks, this works for our text. We can always use this type of text on this background. This works. Then let's look at the second one. It does too. It passes. For the next two, it passes what the AAA. So we can as well say this guy is gone. This guy passes too. Let's look at for 600. For 600, we just have AA. So that means for this doesn't work. You can only use, you can use it, but then it is not advisable most times. So since you have all these guys that works best for your white text, you can as well just keep using them. But this passes for just for AA. So the next thing for the next background, for the next color, which is our primary text itself. Our primary text didn't pass AA or AA. I don't know what A18 means. I think it's okay. It's for large text only. I think for larger text, you can actually use it for the background. So I'm just going to take that as a no. And this can be, doesn't pass. So I'm just going to take that, right? So the same thing applies for every other thing, right? White text is not going to pass what the accessibility test for each of these guys. So what it means is you need to use.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Oh, sorry. So what? Sorry about that, guys. So what it means is you need to use a different text or a different style, a different color style for your text on each of these backgrounds, because from here you can see that it didn't pass. None of it passed apart from these guys. So same thing with the black. Let's see for our text style, for our dark style, it didn't pass these three, right? But obviously it will pass what for all these items. It changed from white to black. Pass for just AA alone. This passes for AA. So I'm going to take that off. This also passes for AA. I'm only putting what passes and not what did not pass. So we can just focus on what passes. This every other passes for AA. Great. So I can. All right, great. So now I think we've been able to create like a consistent color theme in terms of our primary from our primary point. So I think I can note this guy down. We still know this is our primary color, but now you can see we have like a wide range of options. So if I decide at any point that I still want to do this, right? Let's get this color, right? I'm going to pick this, and from my background, I want to pick this, right? This works fine. Previously, what I did was I changed this to, I used what my background color, change the opacity 10%, or let's say 20%. Let's say 20%, right? And what did it give me? It still gave us what, some this type of feel. But here now, I know that I have a color style that I can tag, right? Maybe my background 200 or background 100, depending. Okay, so this is background 50 exactly. So we have different options that we can actually take from. So the same way we've done this for our primary palette, we can as well do the same if we have a secondary option or a secondary color. So let's imagine we have a secondary color, right, which is what should we go with? Okay, this guy give us a suggestion, then yes. So you can also get like complementary colors from these guys. So let's just go with what is suggested, right, and use this as our secondary palette. Let's use this as our secondary palette, and I'm going to take this as, sorry, we don't know where this guy falls into yet. So I would like us to do this as an exercise, but the same idea actually works when creating your secondary color. You can actually check from Google, check where it fits into, right? What is the color code? This is F6B2, right? Right. Google suggests we have it as 600. We can still follow that and make it as 600. So if we have it as 600, then we duplicate to the left and right. We can nudge this guy as what, as our main secondary palette, and we follow the same routine to create different sort of shapes for our secondary palette. The same thing goes for our neutrals, our error state or error colors, our success colors for warning. We can have wide range of options. So we don't need to, so by the end of the day, or by the time we are done with creating our design system, we don't need to start putting in values off the top of our head, because we spent a lot of time defining all these items. We might not even use all of this, right? But when it gets to a point where we need to, assign a value, right, to an item, we know we have different options that we can go check, look at what fits, and we can assign a value. And that is where design tokens even comes in place. So we will not be doing all this today as well. I would like to give us a simple test to create this, but before we do that, so we'll take a break and just do this as an exercise. Before I would want to also talk about how we can create styles from each of these elements that we've created.
Hello.
Right? Now, sorry.
Yes, we have a question in the chat. So Oleg was
Okay.
asking, could we also use the HSL model in Figma to generate tints and shades?
Exactly. I missed that out. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So let's look at how that would work. So, I'm so sorry. Okay. So for HSL, this is our primary, right? Let's see how we can get that to work. It works fine. There's, like I said, there is no fixed way to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's no fixed way to implement each of these items, right? There are people that have done it, tested, and it's working for them. We can follow those guidelines that they've set in place and create harmonious colors for ourselves. I also use HSL, right? But when I found this tool. I started using it because it makes it much more easy than me manually doing it. So for HSL, which is the hue, saturation, and light, right? I think that's what it is. Yes, HSL, right? We can, since this is going to be primary color, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll nudge it up a little bit. This is our primary color. What it means is we can increase or add shades by ourselves, right? We can add shades to what every color styles to the left and add things. So adding shade means you are adding or moving it towards the black section in your color wheel. Then here it means you are moving this color like to the white part or the white section of your color wheel. So let's see how that works. What I do is I try to identify the primary color first, which is this that we've done, then starts by moving my L. So you can see we have HSL, hue, saturation, and light. So for the light value means you can determine how dark or light what you want this color or this hue to be. So in saying that, we want to add what? Want to add more light or tune these guys to be much more lighter. So what we do is I come to the L value because this means this is the H, this is the S, and this is the L. I come to the L value and I nudge it up like myself. And let's say I bring it up to like 68. I come here, I do that and it's much more obvious one, right? Same thing for this. Let's say I do this. Then finally, I can do this for the last one. So why I don't do this anymore, the reason is sometimes, right, just like what we have here, you can see my 600 is almost not looking like where a 600 should be. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. A 600 should pretty much be below average, right? And currently it is looking like it is placed in my 400 of where this guy should be. Looking at this being white, sorry, I need to just okay, so this would explain it much more. Okay, so now I have my light value starting from here, right? Yeah, my dark value starting from, right? Normally, this is where our primary color sits, right? And looking at a 600 in terms of what we have, a 600 should be starting from somewhere here, right? I don't know if you get what I'm saying. A 600, looking at the color, we should start from around here. But now my 600 is starting from here. 400 should actually be. So moving this now and acting or making this my 400, right? When I already determined that I want to use this as my 600 and have like 5 different shades, right? It means I'm going to have more of the same color at some point. So look at what we have here and look at what we have here. You can see, you can like view some subtle difference in these values. I was not this enjoy that I have this is what at 85%. This is what at 90%. This is at 95%, right? But then these two are almost no like difference, right, in between these two elements. And I might have 2 scenarios where I need to make them feel different, or maybe I want to have one as a background and one as the background color for my card, right? There won't be so much of a difference in this scenario. So as much as I like this, I like doing this, then what I eventually did was I changed it from this guy being my primary color and make 400 instead my primary color. So that way I can now know that moving at this point, I just need to create 3 much more instances and now focus on how I can bring out like the remaining 6, right, from what I have left. I don't know if this is clear. I hope I explained this in much detail. Sorry, the guy
Yes,
that asked
he
the
kept a
question, I
comment. He
don't know
said
if that
great
is just clear.
explanation. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I think I would want us to, oh yeah, we wanted to add like our color styles. Yeah, so now if you look at, sorry, I need to add this back. I have added some sort of styles already, like this, and create our own. So now we've done our styles, we've outlined all the different styles that we need, but now we need to create them on so we can reuse them easily and be able to adjust and manipulate them whenever we need to. So that means I would start by what each of these named frame. Each of these guys are what are named frame, and I don't think I want to do that. Sorry, please give me a minute. Okay, so each of these guys are what are called are named frame. Like each of these frames that are carrying the color code, I would want us to change it. Let's give that like a consistent name because we would need to use a plugin, but we will do it manually for to easily add these items. Frame 82, so I can just use this find. I think there's a new feature on Figma. I don't know if that would work, but anyways, let me just use it as a swatch. Let me just say swatch. 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 We do that. We do that. So sorry. Sorry. I think we need to let's use it as P900, P800. Yeah, let's do that. Sorry, but I think we need to just change this. So P900. Let's say P900. This would be P800. This would be P700, sorry. This would be P600. So the reason why I'm doing this is I want to use a plugin to generate color styles ones. So what it means is for if I don't do that, the plugin would not like recognize all these layers and convert them into this is supposed to be 500 and convert them into different color styles. So we'll go through the manual way and we'll also go through how you can use a plugin. So this should be P300 and P200. This should be P100 and P2. All right. So how you would have done this is you set the frame in your fields. See this option and you click on create a new color style. So the name here would be primary, let's just say P900, right? And you can even add a description. So I can add this as and say maybe this would be my background, my dark background, or if you need to make this your main, can make this the brand color. You can just have some description to explain each of these colors, but I would leave that for now and create my style. So now I have P900 created, which is here, P900. So what it means is the way I did it for this guy is what I'll do all through. Sorry, guys, just think I have a little cold. So The way I did for this guy, 900 is what I would do for 800, 700, 600. I'll have to manually do that. But the reason why I took time to name each of my swatch here with this name is because I would like to use a plugin. So I think I'll delete this guy, since the plugin will be lost. And the plugin is called Chroma. I think we must have seen this before, Chroma colors, right? But before running the plugin, make sure you have selected each and every layer of the swatch that you have. So by doing that, I can now run my plugin. So running my plugin should work. Why is it not? All right, great. So you can see it's created the color styles for me now, ranging from P1 to what, P900. But here you might need to rearrange a little bit, 50, 100, 200, 50, 100. Why? 800, 700, 600, 500, 400, 300, 200, 100. Right, great. So what we have now is what, P50 to P900. But what if I'm trying to create a simple button, right? And I want to add a field to it. I would come here and I'll just see everything. So if I have my secondary colors, all these colors would just be here and would look so bulky. Everywhere would just be occupied by colors. So you can actually break it down, right? You can come here, right, and say primary slash. I think you creating slash, what it does is it creates it creates like a folder, right? So what I did is I added primary slash P dash 50. So what it does is it brings a new folder and you can embed all these elements inside. So you can as well select them and bring them into this layer. So you have your primary text all inside of one frame or one folder, and your secondary text also, or your secondary color rather, would be in another folder. So when you need to create a style, everything comes directly underneath this. So you can see primary here. If you need to have for your secondary, you have all the options for your secondary. So there are use cases where you might need to use like some separate styles. So for example, you definitely be using a lot of, okay, so let's bring this guy back. Let's bring this guy back. You will definitely be using a lot of what, text colors, your text colors for your primary text and maybe your subtext. So you might not want to every time come here to look for the text. If you have that for your neutrals at this point, so I'm sure your text, your typography would feed off the neutral styles, the neutral color styles mostly. But the same thing is, if you select a text style and a text and you want to apply a text style, to come here over to get the exact color that you've predefined, or you can as well just create a different style. So if you can see what I have here, I have text, right? And here I've created different styles for my text. So I have my primary text, I have my secondary text, I have for inverted, which is for situations like this. I have for accent blue in situations like this. I have for accent purple in situations like this, and I have for red in situations like this. So yeah, I would pretty much just go to, when I want to apply a style, I just come here and everything about my text is here. So I know which is which and I can just click on it directly. The same thing goes for surface, the same thing goes for your background. It just makes you have everything like well organized. So the same way you have your primary colors, it's not stopping, nothing is affecting this, but just to have a much more granular level of ease of use and to be able to arrange things in order, I had to now go deep down to create them into surfaces, text, maybe your buttons. So you can even have for your buttons. So your buttons might have a background, a fill, you might have a stroke, you might have for maybe overstates, like different instances, and you can just create them as styles, right? So when you are designing, you know what is what and which is which. So that just makes everything much more easy for you to reuse. So I don't know if we have any questions. I know color might be tricky, but if you have any questions, I would like to take them now. Yeah. You can just unmute and ask them. Yeah. No question. Can you guys hear me? Sorry.
Yes, sir, we can hear you. We can hear you,
We
sir.
hear you.
No question.
We're just taking everything in on the color.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So would we like to take on some like a simple task of creating a secondary color? Like, would we like to do that to just have like a little break? Let's do that. Let's create like a primary color. I can share this file with you. I can share the. How can, sorry, Emmanuel is saying, please, how can I join you guys to learn? I'm not sure I understand the question, Emmanuel. Emmanuel, can you like, yeah, I'm going to share, do I have to enroll? Okay, so don't worry about that. I think Morel would be in the best situation or best position to answer you, Emmanuel. So I'm going to share the link to the chat. I'm going to have, just hold on, guys. Okay, so you can get the file now. So what I want you guys to do is you can get the file, duplicate, and do yours, right? So I can't have everyone on the file at the same time. It will just be messy. So let's do that. We can duplicate this, right? And we can do our same. All right, so you guys, you saying you don't have any questions when it comes to colors.
Sir, I have a question, please.
Okay, shoot.
Yeah, I have a question,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, you can
Should I go
ahead.
on? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So this color design system now, what if we're working on a new project? How will we be able to know the particular brand color? Like, because from this example, we just used, let's say, blue and got the shades and tints of blue. But if it's for a project, like a real life client project, how will we know the primary color to use for that project? That's my question, sir.
Okay. Okay, so great question. So for you to work on a new project, right? I'm sure that the stakeholders would probably have maybe some brand document or some brand guidelines in like set in place, some sort of document where you have access to the raw files, the SVG files, the AI files that the designer must have done, maybe the logo or something. There definitely will be like some brand guidelines that would guide you into knowing what the main color would be. And if not, you are in the best position to also ask them if you can create a brand design, a brand guideline for them. You can create like sorry, you can create like a design, right? And maybe propose to them. You guys can agree on what the brand goal is. Create like or come up with the color styles that you can use. And I think it all still boils down to getting the color that actually speaks to the brand. So if they don't have an existing document, you're in the best position to tell them, yeah, we can create one for you, and you create, once you guys have agreed on the primary colors or the main brand color rather, then you can move ahead to creating color styles. Yeah. But I believe that if you're starting a new project, there should be a designer that would have done the brand document or the brand design. If there is no designer, you can get them to maybe get someone to do that for them, or you can actually propose to do that for them. So it depends on the type of project.
Amazing. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. So any other question while we work on the secondary palette?
Hello, good morning. I hope you can
Hi,
hear me.
good morning. Yeah, I
All
can.
right, so my name is Wale. So I have a question, like, how do you use all these shades and tints in let's say
Your
while
design.
you're working on a project? Because basically I feel like even while you're working on a project, it's still not possible to use all these shades. So I want to ask, is it possible to use all the
Exactly.
shades and tints, or you just use
I,
specific ones?
I think I mentioned that you might not even use all these shades, right? So the good thing is you've done it. And why a design system is good is there are scenarios that might come up, right? So you are building a product. There are different sides to a product. You have a website that you need to build. You have the web application, the mobile application that you need to build. You have email templates. You have banners. You are pretty much in charge of system where everybody can come to, or a source where everybody can come to and pick resources or pick tools that would help them accomplish whatever it is. So if you are creating for your designs, right? Your mobile designs, and there are scenarios where you don't even need all these items. You might pretty much be using the primary color, let's say a much more lighter shade, and maybe one dark shade. That might be all you need for a mobile design. But yes, it's fine. You don't need to use everything. But there are scenarios where you might even want to create like some banner section or advert sections in your mobile app, and you want that to pop, right? You want that to attract users. You want it to not rhyme with everything that you have, but be like a sort of call to action. There are different options. You can still come here and pick something that, like, you just have to think of what works for you, right? There's no fixed value or fixed process when it comes to design. It still boils down to you as a designer and how your product is and what works best for your product. So yeah, I think
Okay.
that's explained. Yeah.
Yes, awesome. Thank you.
All right, great. So I would like to still take more questions, so we can quickly do one of the time is fast spent, but I want you guys to, if you've created your secondary palette, feel free to to add me to the file, I would like to, I'm sharing my screen so we can go through it and discuss, right?
Hi, sorry, please can you go over how you made the folders for the color styles?
Okay. Okay, so remember we had we had to use, sorry. Remember we had to use a tool, like a plugin rather, to create all these elements, like all these styles. So what we can do is you can, why is this? Sorry, I'm sorry, okay. So I'm going to delete this, right? I'm going to delete the 10 styles and I'll add, selected all elements, right? And I ran the plugin. So at this point, what the plugin just did for me is create all these different styles, create everything so that I can have them in my Figma style panel. But it is not grouping them into layers for me. It's not grouping them into folders for me. So what I can actually do is I can select the first one, which is P50, of the panel. You see where you have name, P50, you can just type in primary, right? Then slash. So the slash means the theme or the prefix before the slash, or the text before the slash rather, would act as the name of the folder. Then anything after the slash goes into the folder. So now that I have done this, I can just save it. So after saving that, you can see it created P50 in a primary folder for me. So I can just select everything and move inside of my primary folder, and that's that. Is that fine?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Sir, please I want to ask a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Please, what is the difference between tint and tones? Well, I'm saying
Oh,
tint
great,
and tone.
great question. Okay, so there's tints, there's shade, and there's tone. Yes. So shade is adding dark color to your hue, adding more of dark color to your hue, like what we did here. Tint is adding white, right? So there is tone. Tone is you adding gray, right? So we have three: shades, tints, and tone. Shades meaning black. Uh, tint means you adding white. Tone means you adding gray. So the more gray you add, the more it gets to gray, like the more it looks like gray. So an example, if you can still see my screen, here where we have tints, you can see the more tint you add, the more lighter it gets, all down to white. For shades, the more shade the more it gets darker, all down to black. Then for tone, the more gray you add, the more it gets grayish, all down to the extreme gray. So these are like these are the three types, right, of colors and how it works. I don't know if I explained that in depth.
Yes, you did.
All right, thank you. I'm still open to more questions while we try to get our hands there.
All right. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
All right. Opeyemi is my name from Lagos. I wanted to ask a question about design systems. Hope you can hear me.
Okay. Yeah, I can.
Okay, so take for example, there's this. Take for example, I'm doing a project, and I want to incorporate material design 3.0 in it. I have been able to use a theme editor to edit it to to my taste, and I want to use that file. So the file I'm talking about is the M3, the master design 3.0 file that is in Figma community. Yes.
Yeah.
So if I want to incorporate that in my design, I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. This is how I go about it, or this is how I went about it.
What are you doing currently? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is how I did it. I duplicated the file, and I was using the styles, the color styles, text styles. I was using it while I was editing my own project right in the same file. I know there should be a more systematic and easier way to do that, and I know I'm doing it wrong. So I wanted to know if there was.
I won't say you are doing it wrongly per se, because to be honest, if you are able to manage the material designs design system, if you're able to manage the design system well in that file, right, you can turn it to your own design system. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Like
yes, that's what I was able to do with the team builder.
So,
team builder.
The thing is, if you have a professional account on Figma, you can publish those styles into a library of your own, right? So when you publish those files into a library of your own, you have access to that design style, like all around. You don't even need to be in that project or in that file before you can access that system. You can publish your text styles, you can publish your button, can publish your color style. So even if you are creating a new project, right, and you need to use it, you can always call it right from that project.
For someone with a free account, for someone with a free account like mine that I currently use, what would you advise?
What I would advise, because I have something like that, and let's see, not on this account. I would have loved to show you, but what I would advise is you trying to make use of the material design guidelines or the design system that you have, fine-tune it, right, and learn to know how to like manage it very well. What you are doing, I won't say is wrong, at least in my own case. I'm not like the lawmaker here, but anyways, it's not wrong. You can fine-tune it and keep improving it. If you even need to get other stuff from other design systems, it's fine. So far you are trying and infusing it in your own system and making it work for you, and you can manage it without breaking anything, then I think what you should do, you should have a separate, like different pages. I don't know how many pages you can open on the free plan. Right now, I think it's free, but I know there's a lot of manipulation.
It's in a project. I moved it to project, so I have a maximum of 3 pages.
Currently, you have a maximum of 3 pages.
In projects.
Okay. Okay. Well, you can just have one. I think you can have one page, right? And make sure you put everything that has to do with your. Okay. So an example is, if you see what I did here, I started like the case studies, right? Or the slides, right? We are in different frames, and each section has its own item. So for example, you are starting with colors, right? Make it be in one page like this. Then everything that has to do with your color can be in a frame. So you can take up the whole page, but make sure you are managing everything well, like in just one page. Then your designs can actually go into other pages and whatnot. So I don't know if that's great.
Yeah, thank you so much. I needed to hear that. Thanks a lot.
All right.
I really appreciate it.
All right. So can we anyone?
Yeah.
Has anyone round up the?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you very much for the explanation on design system. I wanted to ask, because I know you actually covered design system, but is there a difference between a design system and a style guide?
Well, a style guide is a design system to me. I think that's what I would say. A style principles and guidelines, right, for you. But a design system is like much more like complex. When I say complex, I mean it has much more components. A style guide to you might just be styles and maybe textiles, right? Like what you have might just be it might just compose of the textiles, the color styles, and maybe some layouts. But then it's still, I would still call it a design system, because a design system is more or less like a library of every component or everything that has to do with your product that you are designing. So it can get more complex, where you can now start having templates like what I did. You can have organisms where you embed different atomic structures that you must have set in your style guide per se, right? You can now start building off all those items and creating much more complex organisms or much more complex components. And I was going to talk about something, right? But there's a scenario here I would like to, let's see if I have it here. Okay. All right. I would have to bring that in. Okay, but the idea is a style guide is also a
Design
design.
system.
Yes. Yes.
I get now.
Because if you
The
look
design
at
system
what
is
Google
just
has,
more complex.
much more complex here, because what Google has, if you check their styles, everything here is just a style, but they have so much complex resources or components that they put up together to make it just have like I don't know the word to use, but it still boils down to you just having a system and a guideline set of rules that you follow. Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
All right. So has anyone been able to complete the secondary palette? Let's see. Anyone? Oh, I need to share links for the color designer. I think you guys might need to use this. colordesigner.io. Then we have this for the contrast checker. Then we have, let's put in this for material design, Atlassian, Airbnb. All right, Emmanuel. Emmanuel, you are done. You can add my email address. This is my email.
Hi, everyone. We just dropped a form that we would like you to fill on the training. We would like to hear your feedback. Kindly fill it at any point in this training. Thank you.
All right. Oluwatobi, did you get that? Hi, Francis. Can you guys fill the form? I can drop my Instagram or Twitter handle. You can reach out to me also. Yeah. Let's see. You added me, right? So let's see what. Okay, so I'm sure the Israel has like some announcement to make, right? And we can move on to that while I check and share what you guys are doing. Okay. So, okay, so this is from Zainab. This is from Zainab Ibrahim. Let's see what she has. I've gotten yours too, Oluwatobi. So you guys can just tag me. I would make sure I check everything. So all right. All right, so this is what we have for Zainab. I think this is great. Yes, I can check the textiles, secondary, we have secondary 100. I think you made a mistake. You have sec 1 not 00. But anyways, I get the idea. So nice one, Zainab. Who else? A little bit, let's see.
All right, so hi everyone. Thank you once again for joining the training today. I'm here to tell you a bit about university, what we do, and a bit of feedback as to the following items that we're going to have after this training. So university is a tech recruitment platform. What we do is that we connect tech talent with recruiters. We also have an academy where we train people, and we have an internship opportunity for some people. So what we do is we connect you with your recruiters. Every week, every Tuesday, we hold a Tech Tuesday space on Twitter. It's a space where we have conversations about interesting things in the tech industry. So if you're a product designer, if you're a project manager, a developer, anything, you are there. So we have conversations regarding every topic, any topic in the tech industry. You can sign up at www.university.com to be part of us. We will love to hear from you, hear your feedback. We will be sending in a survey.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll be sending in a survey at the end of this training. Within 24 hours, you will receive the survey and the recordings. So we know that people have been asking, am I going to get the recordings? Yes, you're going to get the recording from today's session, as well as a survey that you would help us fill so that we can get your feedback as to what to do to make it better next time. We'll also share a link on Monday because we have a community, a Slack community where we have conversations, we can learn, we have master classes and workshops as well. So we'll be sharing the link to you all on Monday. If you have any questions, if you have anything to say, you can send a message on the chat, and you can also follow us at University on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. You can also sign up at www.university.com to be a part of this platform for us to connect you with your tech recruiters, as well as, for you to meet, if you're a recruiter, for you to meet tech talents. So thank you. Seun, it's over to you now.
Okay, thank you, Tolu. So you guys, just like you mentioned, you guys can help fill out the surveys, and also we have like a Slack channel where you can get to learn more about university, learn more about your role and how you can be better and be open to a lot of employment opportunities, right? So I think Toby just shared his right now, and well, I'm not so sure because Toby, can you unmute and respond? Like how did you get to come about this secondary palette? Because from what I can see, it's looking more of red at this point than orange, than yellow rather.
Okay, I didn't actually get it very correct. I used an unconventional method.
Okay, because I can't see that from here, but anyways, nice trial. All right, Zainab, nice one. I think this makes sense, right? So I'm not sure if anyone has added me again, so I would just, yeah, I think we just have just the two of you. So anyways, I think as much as I would love to continue, there's a lot to actually learn when it comes to typography. But we've spent like a lot of time already in trying to explain, but I'm very sure we understand a lot about colors. And if you can actually just join the Slack channel, I'm sure we'll have much more time to discuss everything about design and much more. So I would like to end this session here today, and we'll get back to you. But please follow university on all social media handles. You can help us fill out the surveys too, and let's hear from you. Let's hear your suggestions, how we can be better, what we did well, and what we can improve on. We would be glad to get those responses from you. And you can also follow me on social media if you need if you have some questions that you need me to respond to. I will try to respond.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining in. If you would like to contact Sean, you can follow him on LinkedIn at Oluwaseun Orofin. You can also follow us, tweet about this session, what you learned, tweet at us on socials about the training on your Twitter. Let us know what you learned from this session. I'm sure that we all learned something new, something interesting, something that will help us in our design and our product design henceforth. As I mentioned earlier, kindly sign up to www.university.com. Tell people about it, as well as fill our survey form, and let us hear from you. Let us know what to do better, what topics you want to hear, what we can do better in the next training that we'll be having. So thank you, everyone, and have a lovely weekend.